Hey, what's happening, my fearless networking friend? Todd Falcone here. Welcome back to another episode. We're shifting gears a little bit. If you've been plugging into me the last few months, we've run through this whole prospecting mastery series, and now we're moving on to some other stuff over the next several weeks. I want to talk today about producing high quality Facebook Lives or high quality video in general. If you're on either my YouTube channel or you're on my website at toddfalcone.com and you're seeing video, meaning you're not on my podcast, you can see that I'm sitting by this bubbling brook in the outdoors here in Central Oregon. And it's a beautiful day here. You can hear the bubbling brook right behind me, and it's just a great sight. It's a great location, and this is a purposeful location. I literally drove out here to shoot these videos to create a higher quality kind of experience, if you will, changing things up versus many of the videos that I shoot in my office. And even the videos I shoot in my office, everything there is also intentional. So I think a couple of very important tips, regardless of whether it's a Facebook video, Facebook Live, recorded video, TikTok video, Instagram, whatever video that you're producing, I want to give you some basic fundamental tips that will make your stuff look so much better, okay? All right, so I'm going to talk about one thing. First of all, video composition. You can Google this stuff if you want. There's something called the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds is something I teach in my A-team programs because I want to make sure people understand how to shoot good quality video. And it's essentially you're dividing your screen into thirds. You have two thirds, like your upper third, your middle third, and the lower third of the screen, and then the left third, the middle third, and the right third of your screen. And if you notice on this video, my eyes are about on the upper third of the screen. This is called utilizing the rule of thirds. Very important that you go Google this and you see some other examples of what the rule of thirds actually means, because it is a rule that is used in both photography as well as videography. And it's just, I didn't make the rule, it's just the rule. And these are one of the rules that you want to abide by. So that's number one, is composition. The other thing is like the scene that you're in, like what's behind you. Are you shooting at home against a white wall with a bunch of shadow? Probably not good. If you're shooting and you've got some weird, I don't know, bush sticking out of your head from behind you. I've got a bunch of bushes and trees behind me, but it's a blurred out kind of scene. And the reason it's blurred out is because I'm shooting in aperture priority mode that's a little bit more advanced. I'm shooting in 1.8 aperture priority mode, which makes me in focus and everything behind me or in front of me out of focus. So it creates that depth of field. So these are some things that you can think about. So when you're shooting, you're getting ready to do the shot, whatever it is. You want to think about like the lighting, where your head is or where your body is in the frame. The sound, like for example, I'm shooting on a wireless lavalier microphone in the outdoors. There might be a little bit of wind that comes up because it's a little breezy out here. But if I was shooting off of the camera, right, or even the basic mic on the camera or a small mini boom mic, it's going to pick up on all the external noise, even in a room in your house where you think there's no noise. There's something called ambient room noise that it will pick up on. So anytime you can use a lavalier microphone, it's going to pick up on what you want it to pick up on. Or if you're sitting at your desk, for example, a lot of times when I'm doing videos, I have a boom microphone that's on a shock mount and is out of the camera view, but is basically just right above my computer screen. And it's a way better audio quality than if you're just using the microphone that's in your computer. So the quality of the sound, the lighting, not being super shadowed or too bright. It might be a little bright out here because it's a sunny day. But these are very important things to pay attention to. My camera is on a tripod, and so it's not shaking. So, you know, there's times where you're doing a walk and talk video and shaking is okay depending on I might do that on purpose. Actually, I'm doing a walk one, but if it's super shaky, it's kind of disturbing to the viewer, and you're going to lose viewers as a result of it, regardless of whether it's a recorded video or if it's a a live video that you're doing. So video composition, the framing, the setup. I would suggest that you have one or two or maybe a few places in your household that are designated as video shooting spots, right? And you look at what's behind you, that you don't have a bunch of papers stacked up on the desk, that you don't have a bunch of junk in the background, that you don't have a door where somebody all of a sudden walks in naked on you while you're doing something in your office. I mean, I've seen that happen on live videos, or I've seen that happen with, you know, when we were in the middle of COVID and there was newscasters and they were shooting at their door and all of a sudden their kid runs in on a, I don't know, one of those little bouncy, whatever they were called back in the day. And it's disturbing to the viewer. So you want to create a good experience for the viewer. And then of course there's the content piece. Like, what are you going to talk about? Before I actually get into that, one other thing is, especially when shooting on like an iPhone or on a laptop, people have a tendency to look at themselves. Like, here's the computer, you know, camera, but the image of you on video, you can probably hear that wind coming up because we got a little breeze here, that the image of you is down below the actual lens. And so a lot of times people are naturally drawn to looking at themselves, but now, like, I'm talking to you and I'm not giving you any eye contact whatsoever. And so it's a disconnection with the audience versus now I'm looking directly into the camera lens and it feels as if I'm talking and giving you eye contact. That's very important. So on your iPhone or on your laptop computer, again, those are two things that draw our attention away from the actual lens. Here, I've just got a DSLR camera and there's the lens. So that's the focal point. I really don't even see an image of myself. So I have to look at the lens. Eye contact is super critical. So think about it, like your background, the lights, you know, like the lights, the sound, the microphone, the frame, like the background, what's going on, and then of course the content. Now, there's nothing wrong, I'll tell you this, like the cool thing about a laptop computer is you got that camera right up at the top, and we have things called Post-it notes. So I can take little Post-it notes, put one here, and put one right below the camera. It's not covering the camera, and I can have little bullet points or little notes. So I can sit here and stare at the eye contact into the lens of the camera, and nobody even knows that I'm looking at notes. Like, for example, real quick, check. So right here, I have notes, right? Okay, here I am. All right. So I have a basic note sheet. It's not even in front of me because I know the content that I'm about to speak about. So I came out here to shoot several videos, purposely came out to this location, set up the camera, set up the shot, and I have a number of videos that I'm shooting. You probably can't see it, but there's a number of videos that I'm shooting, and it's just a single sentence for me. Depending on what you're talking about, okay? Depending on what you're communicating about, let me put that back in the backpack over here. You may need some notes or no notes, but I think it's important that you prepare yourself so you're not, especially on a Facebook Live, you don't want to be mumbling and bumbling. And it's just a beautiful thing. I'll tell you this even. So the camera, you can't see the camera that I'm shooting on, but it's a regular like 35 millimeter looking DSLR camera. I created this little piece of cardboard that I cut out in the shape of the camera, and I can put that piece of cardboard onto the camera, and it's like, it basically creates a frame around the camera. And when I'm doing really long videos, it's like a little insider secret. I will put little notes on there with a Sharpie pen big enough for me to see, depending on how far it is away from, the camera's away from me and my eyes. And so I can be here and I can just look like one little glance here. You don't even know that I'm looking at a note, but I'm looking at a note. Now I've got a bullet point that I can talk about for the next 10 or 15 minutes. So nothing wrong with using a cheat sheet. I think it's better to have it up on the camera or up on your computer screen than down here, so you're not constantly doing this. But again, you want to produce good quality stuff. Invest in a microphone that you can plug into your mobile phone. Invest in a boom microphone, like I have a Yeti blue microphone. It's not even very expensive. It's on a shock mount. It's connected to my desk, goes up on a little boom, and then it's hanging above where I'm speaking. And the quality of the audio is night and day. High quality video, high quality audio. You don't need to have a DSLR camera. I mean, it's great because I can create this like blurred, experience from behind me because I'm shooting in aperture priority mode with an aperture priority lens. But your, whatever it is, your Samsung, your iPhone 12, 13, whatever it is, they produce such high quality video now. You don't even need to have a, some expensive camera. A microphone that you can plug in with a little extension. It runs up through your shirt and then it goes here. Is great, gives you enough distance between you and the camera. little miniature, whatever they call them, the Gorilla Grip tripods that are great because they're flexible and they can twist around a tree branch or a chair or something, and you can literally shoot in crazy places without this. I mean, the tripod this thing is sitting on is heavy, it's bulky, it's not easy to travel with, but you know, this is just what I happen to use today. So just those little things, and then preparing your content ahead of time and knowing what you're gonna say, and even having a couple of little cheat sheets, you're gonna produce way better video, whether it's recorded or live, okay? What's up, YouTubers? If you are on my YouTube channel, I appreciate you guys. If you're on my podcast on audio, appreciate you as well. Please leave me a rating for my podcast. And if you're on my page, toddfalcone.com, you're already here. And this episode, and maybe you caught it and maybe you didn't, but it's actually perfect for this particular episode, is if you're watching the video, there's kind of a short little edit. If you're on my podcast, you probably didn't even catch it. But you went, wait a minute, he was in a different position on video. Well, guess what happened? In my notes, because I'm not looking directly at my notes and I'm doing multiple videos, at the tail end of that, and you're not seeing it because I edited it out, I said toddfalcone.com/episode 192, but it's not. This is actually toddfalcone.com/episode 193, okay? So the rest of this episode, all the details, other information, come on over to toddfalcone.com/episode 193. I love it. I love a mistake that happens accidentally on purpose. That gives me a chance to talk about that. The other thing is, when you're doing these videos, especially if they're recorded, you can do little tiny edits, and the edits can be absolutely professional with a nice little transition, or it can be a direct cutoff into something, and then you can even use it as an example for what people can do in the future. So most of the time I do these videos, I knock it out in a single take. I actually knocked that out in a single take, but my only mistake was I said episode 192. So the rest of the details on this episode, by the way, 192 is about social media recruiting. That was last week. toddfalcone.com/episode 193. We'll see you next time.